Fantastic. Welcome everybody to, it's like day 3 of the Leeds Digital Festival. You're all still fresh. There's thousands of more events to go to. We've captured you early while you're still not punch drunk with events. But it's really great to have you all along here, and definitely we thank you for coming along. My name, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Brayshay. I am the founder and CEO of NewRedo. We're a IT consulting business based here in Leeds, based here in Platform. We do all kinds of IT consulting work in the private and public sector, do lots and lots of software delivery work and lots of product development type projects. And we have, over the years, built lots and lots and lots of MVPs of all sorts of shapes and sizes. And really, today, we're wanting to sort of replay some of that experience, mixed in with some of the things that obviously AI kind of bring to the table in this current time. So I'm joined today by Alan Raison. Alan is our principal engineer, and we're going to be doing a little bit of a tag team on this presentation.
Yes, welcome everyone. So, software is everywhere. It's in our hospitals, it's in our energy systems, it's in the way we shop, the way we travel, and even in how we connect with each other socially. Yet despite software's importance, the industry struggles with an uncomfortable truth. Too many projects fail. They might run over budget, miss deadlines, or simply deliver something that doesn't fit a market need. Every business leader has either experienced this firsthand or heard the horror stories. And in today's hyper-competitive environment, getting it wrong isn't just frustrating, it can be fatal for a business model. So as a software consultancy ourselves, we know the challenges of delivering complex software systems. All software systems are a series of problems to be solved, but it can be hard to know up front all the problems that have to be solved. But there is a tried and tested method of minimising the risk that we'll go through today. The pace of digital change is relentless. New competitors can come out of nowhere, harnessing technology to disrupt entire sectors in a matter of months. In this environment, speed is everything, but speed without discipline is just chaos. We want to show you that combining speed with intelligence leads not only to successful software projects, but also enduring business value. That's what we mean by moving fast and thinking smart. We all know that the internet has changed the digital landscape, but there have been several waves of change. Before Salesforce was launched, the web was mostly pages of information. But Salesforce changed the game by turning what was previously a desktop-bound application into an entire platform, all on the web. But it was more than a technical change. It transformed business models from perpetual license revenue into recurring subscription revenue, and opening the door for software as a service to become mainstream. The second wave came with the rise of cloud platforms. From around 2010 onwards, applications were rewritten again, this time to take advantage of the multitude of services provided by the likes of AWS, Google Cloud Platform, and Microsoft Azure. Businesses could scale globally, experiment cheaply, and launch features at a pace that would previously have been impossible. Now we are in a new wave. From 2022, applications in every sector have begun to embrace the explosion in large language model maturity. SaaS products are being reshaped once again, this time to integrate AI capabilities that reduce cost, increase productivity, and raise quality. And this is happening now. We are living through another phase of disruption, every bit as profound as the web or the cloud. Old incumbents may be displaced. New innovative companies are entering the market at speed. The tools are ready, the cost of experimentation is lower than ever, and the appetite for AI enablement is enormous. So for business leaders, this is both a threat and an opportunity. The threat is obvious. If you don't adapt, someone else will. The opportunity is also clear. If you act decisively, you can seize market share, create new revenue streams, and build a defensible advantage. And that's why we're here today, to show you how to move fast without losing control, to show you how to think smart while you scale, and to give you confidence that with the right approach, disruption can be something not to fear, but to embrace.
Thank you, Alan. Okay. So we're going to start by talking about the whole concept of an MVP. What is it? So many of you, I can know from looking around the room, quite a few of you are from the tech sector yourselves, so you will have some idea of this, but if you may not. MVP obviously stands for minimal viable product. You've probably heard the term a lot, and from a definition point of view, you might already have something in your head. But having a more precise definition is tremendously beneficial, really helps with the discipline. Let's start by stating what an MVP isn't. It isn't some kind of cheap knockoff or a piece of vaporware or some quick prototype. It's not something to throw away once the main or the real build starts. We at NewRedo, we like to take a disciplined view, and this is how we see it. We have an MVP is a carefully designed strategic tool. It's designed to be the smallest shippable thing that creates genuine value. And crucially, it tests a core business hypothesis. Importantly, and this is really important, it produces evidence that tells us or you whether customers actually want what you think they want. And crucially, it does this fast and at low cost. Not because we're trying to cut corners, but because the aim is to try and cut risk. Whether within an organisation like the NHS or inside a startup, the concept is still the same. Clearly, an MVP built to solve a problem in an NHS trust is going to have a larger budget. It's probably going to have a much larger ambition than something that might happen in a startup. But the concept is the same. We're still providing, or we're still trying to prove rather, what we've built has significant value. We like to optimize for two outcomes. One is learning, the other one is longevity. The learning outcome is perhaps more obvious, and we've already mentioned it just now. What we want to build is something with a clear business hypothesis, and we want to be able to measure and stress test that hypothesis convincingly is correct. But the longevity aspect, the longevity outcome, is just as important and less commonly discussed. We want the code we've written to live on if the hypothesis does prove correct. Your MVP should be a foundation that you can extend. It's not a dead end. We want to avoid rebuilding from scratch if at all we can. Products take on a life of their own over a kind of stretch of time, and they often morph and adapt crucially to market needs and user needs. But very often the problem they solve, the problem at its core, is a lot more stable. And that's where smart evolutionary architecture matters. It's where experienced engineers matter. It's where we want to keep the design thin. We want the structure to be modular, and we want to keep it composable, because that way it's ready to grow and adapt as we need it. So I want to share an example about a startup called RaceBest. They're not a startup anymore, but they were. So RaceBest was one of NewRedo's very, very early customers. Got any runners in the room? Is anybody familiar with RaceBest here? Oh, if you're a runner in Leeds, there's a high chance you'll have come across it. So at the back end of 2011, we met the founders of RaceBest. They had a vision for a running entry platform with a whole host of value-added additional features. They did have some money. They'd gathered it from their own savings and from families and friends. And they had an event. That was one of the crucial parts. They have an event, the ECUP 10K. At the time, it was on the 15th of July, 2012. It still happens every year now. If you're not a runner in Leeds, it's a great event to go and do. So we ran a discovery workshop. This was in the run-up to Christmas. We ran a discovery workshop, and we made a feature backlog and a delivery plan. And then we got started, and we wrote code over the Christmas holidays, much to the delight of my young family that year. But in the early part of 2012, racebest.com went live, but it went live after only 21 days of development. The list of things it didn't have was way, way, way longer than the things it did have. There was no way to publish results. There was no way for organisers to even list another race or launch another race, add another race. There was no way to work out the Race Best ticket commission. The list of missing things went on and on and on. But crucially, runners could enter. The site was really fast and it was really robust. We had stress tested the entry page kind of into oblivion, really. And what was there worked really well. And as the weeks went on, the platform captured 644 entries. You can go to the website now and double check. And that was enough. That proved the confidence to the founders, and crucially, it provided some revenue coming in that kept the system running. Now, in 2025, that's 14 years later, the platform has had millions of visitors, literally, millions and millions. It's had hundreds of thousands of entries. It's raised tens of thousands of pounds for charities. It hosts free events for kids. It has supported the people of Batley and the family of Jo Cox, the MP, in the aftermath of her tragic murder. And it survived lockdown with new virtual event features. And in fact, it came out of that pandemic crisis with a bigger market share than it did going in. So I want to introduce you to a metaphor, something you might think about. I want you to think of an MVP as like an entrepreneurial parachute. Sit back and imagine what you think is a life-changing opportunity. You have some industry insight and an amazing idea for a product. You've talked to your family and friends, and they all think it's a world beater. Of course they would do, because they're your family and friends. You might have raised some money, maybe from your own savings, maybe from those same family and friends, or maybe from an angel investor, or perhaps you have profits from an existing business. This is all exciting for you, and you really want to crack on. Let's get building. I've talked to people about this already. But your plan needs to be bigger than just building an MVP. What if it misses the mark? What if no one cares? What if you can only attract your family and friends as customers? Remember that building an MVP is not really the goal. The goal is building a business. The statistics would tell us that failure, unfortunately, is the most likely outcome. There's a market intelligence platform called CB Insights, and it says 38% of UK startups fail because they run out of cash. That's the most common reason. But that's closely followed, 35%, by having a product or service with, this is the actual words, in inverted commas, no market need. So, really what that boils down to is 73% of startups have not created anything people want before they run out of cash. That's like fairly astounding, is it not? So you need to remember, you're trying to build a business, not just a product. Your first attempt is likely to fail. And when it does, you need enough money in the bank to pivot and course correct. Building the wrong thing is the most expensive mistake in software product development. An MVP's greatest strength is how it reduces this risk. You don't want to cut corners on the quality of engineering. The product must still be really well crafted, and it must be absolutely secure, and it must look trustworthy. So yes, spending money on quality, but saving money on quantity is the vital aspect. By keeping the scope tight, you reduce costs, and therefore you reduce risks. This discipline preserves your financial runway for when the hypothesis does prove wrong. You still have options to pivot, maybe to a new angle, to explore a different market, or to redefine the proposition. The MVP protects both you, your investment, and your ability to adapt. So I've got one other quick example. It's another example from our back catalogue in a slightly different context. Back in 2006, so we began working with a small company in the health sector based in Yorkshire. It was a private sector company, and they were using a popular off-the-shelf practice system to run the business and to store patient records. Unfortunately, that very system was not only cripplingly expensive to them, but also it didn't really fit their needs and their business model. They assumed that building something in-house as a replacement was completely out of reach financially. But the situation was critical enough that something needed to change. And after we'd talked to them for several months, and that's not uncommon at all, we talked to them a lot about their ongoing problems. In the end, we decided together to make a plan. We set out to build a small web application that would support just one of their clinical activities and perform a specific aspect of their business. It was hyper-optimized for their exact needs, and from the outset, it was integrated in all their back office systems and their business processes. That early MVP delivered efficiency that paid for itself within weeks, plus the confidence to keep investing. And we worked with that client for many years. Only this year, that business went on to quadruple in size and has just gone through a trade sale to a larger provider only this year. And obviously that provided an exit for the original founders. So just a few tips and a little recap. An MVP normally supports one persona doing one job. Naming a single primary user and the single job to be done should normally be your focus. And that's what we would always recommend. It should focus on an end-to-end over a breadth of features. A complete user journey beats 5 unfinished or partly finished or unpolished features. Value is created at the moment a user reaches a meaningful outcome. Another thing you can think about is using manual behind the curtain. This is I don't know if people are familiar with the kind of Wizard of Oz pattern. So if a back office task can be done manually, especially in the first small user cohort, that's absolutely something you should consider and automate later when demand grows. It's all about reducing the volume of code we might need to write. And make sure that your MVP is absolutely instrumented to learn and designed to last if successful. It's a highly considered probe. It's small. It's a polished experience that tests the hypothesis with real users. And here's what it isn't. An MVP isn't a hasty prototype. It's definitely not a tech spike. And it's not phase one of an enormously long backlog that your stakeholders might have been dreaming about for the previous 18 months. So we champion MVPs, but built with discipline. The reason we do that is because they convert uncertainty into knowledge, ideas into outcomes, and ambition into measurable results quickly, and they do it predictably and repeatedly. When markets are moving fast, as ours is, and especially at the moment, fast learning is a competitive advantage. Alan.
Thank you. So, artificial intelligence is not just another technology wave. It is a platform shift on the scale of the internet or the smartphone. It is the new industrial revolution for knowledge workers. It is rewriting the rules of competition across every sector. And like every platform shift before it, it brings two things in equal measure: enormous opportunity and enormous risk. To understand why this matters, let's step back and look at the historical parallels. 20 years ago, the web reshaped how companies connected with customers. 10 years ago, the cloud reshaped how businesses built and deployed software. Each time, the winners were those who recognised the shift early and adapted quickly. The laggards lost market share, some never to recover. Today, AI is the same kind of shift, only faster. Adoption curves are steeper, tools are more accessible, and the disruption is more pervasive. Now, much of the conversation in the industry so far has focused on the large language models themselves. But in my opinion, they seem to be becoming a commodity as well. So if you ask each language model the same question, you'll get largely the same answer. So where is the differentiation? We think it's in the application wrappers. These are the products and services that package raw AI capabilities into experiences that solve real business problems. This is where value is created, where customer loyalty is won, and where new business models are born. Let's use developer tools as an example, because firstly, it's a space where there's been extremely rapid innovation, and secondly, because as an engineer, it's an area I've been keeping a keen eye on for some time. So first came GitHub Copilot, initially a code assistant built into the hugely popular code editor VS Code. It was able to complete simple programming tasks with the oversight of a human programmer. Just as this was sort of improving on the quality of output, a small startup called Cursor appeared. Cursor offered the ability to more easily work across more files and also use different models. A boon for the developers willing to switch from the incumbent code editor, and it became extremely popular extremely quickly, reaching $100 million annual recurring revenue in its first 12 months with a team of just 12. But the disruption didn't stop there. The AI company Anthropic developed Claude Code as an internal tool to boost their own developers' productivity and then released it publicly. So its unique capability was that you could instruct agents to perform a task and they would go and make changes to your code until the task was complete. Now this agentic coding paradigm is state of the art and, like all good ideas, being copied and integrated into other tools. And Vercel have changed the game in UI development, releasing V0, which allows subscribers to describe their user interface in words, and it will create you an initial version of V0, if you will, of the code for you. So notice the pattern. The underlying models were similar. The differentiation came in the wrapper, from the integration, the workflow fit, and the user experience. But it's not just developer tools being disrupted. Let's think about some other sectors. And in fact, I've been talking to some of you already about this. So in education, teachers are in short supply. They are a finite resource. Clearly, with more personalised tuition, learners get better outcomes. But personalised tuition is very expensive. So there's a challenge. By lifting the burdens from teachers in ways that innovators like yourselves might be able to think of, AI has the potential to cause massive disruption. Also in healthcare, there are opportunities. Similarly to education, there's a shortage of doctors, and if AI were to be able to lessen their overheads, then they could be freed up to use their expertise more effectively. We're working with customers now using AI to optimise the daily schedules of clinicians, for example. In the world of finance, machine learning has been used for years to combat fraud, fight cybercrime and analyse risk. But adding generative AI into the mix will disrupt the sector once again. How this disruption will look, we don't know, but if you have some insight into your sector, it's time to act. But why is this moment so urgent? Because we are in a window where costs are dropping, models are proliferating, and incumbents are vulnerable. Building an AI-enabled product today is cheaper and faster than building a cloud application a decade ago. That means barriers to entry are low. Startups can enter niches previously reserved for large enterprises. At the same time, incumbents are vulnerable because they're weighed down by legacy systems and slow governance. They're exposed. The opportunity for challengers has never been greater. And so from a leadership perspective, this is not just a technical issue, it is a strategic one. Leaders must decide, where can AI create a defensible advantage in my business? What parts of our model are exposed to disruption? And how do we invest intelligently without chasing hype? These are boardroom questions, not technical ones. So in summary, we're in a new phase of disruption with whole industries ready to be reshaped. And speed to market is the differentiator. Whoever delivers some value first can capture the advantage. So what does this mean for you as leaders? It means two things. You can't sit this out. Waiting for the dust to settle is waiting to be disrupted. Second, you don't have to build a large AI research team. You just have to identify opportunities in your market, design the right wrapper, and move quickly to test it. And that's why this section sits at the heart of our story today, because understanding the nature of the disruption is the first step to acting on it. In the next part, Royd and I will show you how to capture this opportunity through rapid, disciplined delivery. But before we get there, consider this. AI is not tomorrow's disruption, it's today's. The wrappers are already emerging, the market is already moving, and the winners are already being decided.
Thank you, Alan. So, let's talk about rapid delivery. When we talk about rapid delivery, it's easy to imagine we're talking about somehow cutting corners, rushing to ship something, or sacrificing quality. But that's not what we mean at all. Rapid delivery is about disciplined acceleration, and it's about the use of lean and agile principles. It's about eliminating waste. It's about focusing on outcomes, and it's about creating momentum through small, frequent successes. It's a method that allows businesses to seize opportunities before that window closes. Let's unpack what rapid delivery means in the MVP context. And here we think it has these three dimensions. First, speed to the first release, that's crucial. Getting something tangible in the hands of users quickly so that learning can start immediately. That's the key purpose of an MVP. But shortly following that, the speed of iteration is also key. The ability to take the feedback that we got from that initial MVP, feed it back into our delivery system, improve the product at pace. But once we've done that several times, the speed to scale starts to become important. Moving from a validated MVP to a robust and scalable system without grinding to a halt is also crucial. If any of these dimensions are missing, our MVP tactics may falter, costs will mount, and opportunities may be missed. So to explain that further, I'd like you to reflect on this diagram and reflect on what an organization is actually doing during a software delivery project. Think about that value stream. Feature ideas and business hypotheses enter at the beginning of the process. So up here. So work starts. Research and analysis might be done. UX might be designed. Code might be written and tested. Deployment pipelines are built. All these activities contribute to the elapsed time between starting work and the user finally, down here, engaging with a feature. And all this is the feature lead time. The longer that lead time, the greater the time in the zone where we're spending money without feedback, and that increases risk to the business. Only when the feature is in the hands of a real user can we learn if the true value has been delivered and we have a return on our investment. So, finding ways to shrink this lead time is crucial. It's a crucial ongoing activity of all mature agile teams. Whether through process innovation, whether through tooling, whether through creative architecture, or anything else. Shorter lead times means shorter time to market. And that's key for all, as I say, mature teams. Here's the paradox. The faster you want to move, the more disciplined you need to be. Rapid delivery is far from chaos. It's lean and agile principles in practice. It takes a lot of experience, it takes a lot of judgment, and it takes a lot of coordination for a team to truly deliver small, valuable slices of functionality, and then gather feedback, and then learn, and then iterate. Big bang launches may be tempting, and they're certainly exciting from a marketing point of view, but effective startups and mature teams building MVPs typically prefer an approach that looks more like continuous launching. Because when pivots are inevitable, which they pretty much are, low-profile pivots are far more comfortable. So, while our central message about AI is in disrupting the marketplace, it's obviously, and Alan's mentioned this already, it's also impacting development itself. Alan's mentioned the code editor changes and innovations that have been happening at pace very recently. But AI can really help with all this whole category of process innovation. In UX, AI tools help generate wireframes and mock-ups in hours and not days or weeks. In coding, AI assistants help write skeleton code. They help suggest refactoring. They free engineers to focus on the big picture design and architecture. In testing, AI helps create unit tests and integration tests faster, so regression suites can grow more quickly and at less cost. They can catch issues earlier and raise the quality bar right across the piece. All of this compresses this lead time and promotes faster feedback. But let me be clear, AI is just not some silver bullet. The lack of experienced judgment plus AI will just create greater quantities of poor engineering faster. I was talking to Alan this morning and talked about, he was referring to it as AI slop. So very easy to create. And I know there's an ongoing conversation about that now. It's this combination of MVP discipline and AI acceleration that really creates success. And not surprisingly, leadership also has a part to play here. Technology alone won't make you fast. People working closely together in mature teams do that. Rapid, agile delivery depends on cross-functional teams. It depends on designers, engineers, product owners, working together in short feedback loops and working very closely together. Software product development is problem solving on a grand scale, and it's effective collaboration that keeps things moving. It requires team stability and it requires psychological safety so that people know each other really well and they feel free to experiment, they feel free to raise issues and to suggest improvements. It demands focus. We're protecting teams from distractions so they can deliver value on every single iterative cycle. Culture is the multiplier, and culture comes from leadership. Okay, and finally, let's talk about kind of what I think is the elephant in the room, and that's feedback. So, a significant misconception is that moving fast increases risk, and in fact, moving fast reduces risk. The faster that feedback comes in, the sooner we can course correct. Remember that long lead times lead to increased risk. With long lead times, risk accumulates silently, and it accumulates until it's too costly to make a full course correction. Teams who course correct early avoid these expensive failures, and rapid delivery is risk management through iteration. Take a moment to think about the waste we often see in many projects, certainly many projects I've worked on. Features nobody uses, but they were built because somebody had put them in the spec. Over-engineered infrastructure that was designed to scale, but that scale may never come. Lengthy approval processes that add no value. Rapid agile delivery is about avoiding some of these traps and focusing resources where the best return can be achieved. Inside mature teams, waste is designed out of the system. And when leaders champion these behaviors, time to value shrinks, a culture of continuous improvement starts to emerge, and delivery teams thrive. Let me reiterate, the biggest risk in product development is building the wrong thing, and the most expensive risk. So, a final recap. What does rapid agile delivery mean in practice? It means speed to release, speed to iterate, and speed to scale. It means discipline, not chaos. It means using AI as an accelerator, not a substitute for experience or expert engineering. And it means investing in culture, teams, and leadership just as much as it does in tools. In a world where disruption is constant and windows of opportunity can be short, Rapid delivery is not a luxury. It's the difference between being disrupted and being the disruptor.
At this stage, we've explored MVPs, AI, and the art of rapid delivery. So if this is the right approach, how can you deliver MVPs fast and smart in a way that de-risks your investment and maximises opportunity? Well, to succeed in this landscape, you need a partner with certain qualities. They must be able to work in short cycles, delivering value quickly so you can see results and make evidence-based decisions. This means they don't disappear for weeks at a time. Instead, they bring you working software in days. You get to see progress, test assumptions and adjust course. For leaders, this provides visibility and confidence. And for teams, it provides motivation and momentum. You must understand fast flow, removing handoffs and bottlenecks so information and work move smoothly across design, engineering and leadership. This means fewer silos and fewer delays. Designers sit with developers, product owners talk to engineers daily, and blockers are removed quickly. Work doesn't pile up in queues, it flows. Fast flow is what keeps delivery predictable and costs under control. They must embrace high collaboration, working as an extension of your team rather than an arm's length vendor. This involves joint workshops, shared backlogs and transparent reporting. It means a culture where your priorities are their priorities and where feedback flows both ways. They must combine technical depth with business understanding, aligning delivery to strategy, not just writing code. Engineers understanding the business environment in which they're working. That requires engineers who can ask, what problem are we solving and what are we trying to achieve? Not just, what feature are we building next? It's challenging assumptions and proposing alternatives. And they must bring a culture of trust and adaptability because innovation is uncertain and requires resilience. That means being honest when things don't work, pivoting quickly when evidence demands it, and maintaining transparency even when the messages are hard. So trust is only developed when the client knows that the news is being delivered, even if it's bad news. Now let me show you how we've set up NewRedo around exactly these principles. We're a team of 25, small enough that every project has senior involvement and big enough to deliver serious outcomes. This means no revolving door of juniors as soon as a sales pitch is finished. You get direct access to experienced engineers, strategists and designers, the kind of people who can move quickly and make good decisions. We've got a track record of successful product delivery with clients who have stayed for us for years, as Royd's already illustrated. When you work with us, you also get leadership engagement. Royd helps shape strategy, and as principal engineer, I ensure technical excellence and innovation. Together, we bridge the business and technical dimensions. And Agile is truly at our heart. It's how we organise every aspect of our organisation. We've been living and breathing Agile practices since our inception. But we don't just keep that to ourselves. We also believe in being connected and hosting the wider discussion. For over a decade, we've run Agile Yorkshire, a community of practice where ideas are shared amongst other technology leaders. Our culture underpins everything. We prioritise low work in progress, focusing on business values and continuous improvement. We empower our people, which creates teams that are motivated and collaborative. This culture spills into our client engagements, and you feel the benefit of teams who can think smart and move fast.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up really. So let's reflect on what we've covered today. An MVP is a strategic tool. An MVP involves significant creative thinking and design. They require engineering rigour, possibly exploring multiple solutions to a problem. They deliver risk reduction. If they don't deliver risk reduction or you're not feeling that risk reduction, what you've built is not an MVP. AI is helping to lower those implementation costs, But this should be used to elevate outcomes, not to replace engineering expertise. And remember, this wave of disruption has already started. New companies riding this wave are emerging, and old incumbents will definitely disappear. So what does this mean? If you're a domain expert with insight, or you're a leader in the tech space now, you can be part of shaping the market. Or you can allow yourself to be shaped by it. The good news is the tools, the practices, and the partners to do this are already here, right in Leeds. And hey, we're celebrating all of them over the next 2 weeks. You don't need to wait for technology to mature. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You can start now. If you're sitting here today thinking about a project or an idea for a project or even a challenge that you know of in your sector that you think AI could address, then we would love to talk to you. Of course we would. There's lots of people otherwise at the Leeds Digital Festival that would also like that. The important thing is starting now. Turning these foundational models into differentiated products is happening right now. And the answer to the question, who can create an MVP fast and smart? Well, the answer to that is any one of you. In times of disruption, the biggest risk isn't failure. The biggest risk, in fact, is hesitation. And those who experiment, learn, and adapt quickly can, at least at the moment, possibly change the world. Thank you.